Hi, my name is Shay Schwernicke, and I am a second-year photography student. Never be afraid to try something new, an angle, a subject, or style. Try to always be ready to take a picture and don't worry about what others might think. Overall, just try and take pictures of things you enjoy. Your love of these things will come through in your photos. I would like to take you through my 2014-15 photographic journey. First, I started by making my muse. A muse is a creature or being that inspires people in a creative way. The Greeks refer to the 9 muses in their literature. My muse looks like this. It is a photo illustration I made using 3 layers. I started with the beach as my background. I then selected myself out of the picture and then wrapped a stone texture around myself. These are my magic hour shots. Magic hour is a time of day when the sunlight is brilliant and the shadows are long. It happens at sunrise and at sunset. It is best to use a tripod during magic hour because it is a low light setting. The tripod will stabilize your camera and reduce blur. I used shutter priority for this assignment because I wanted to have control of how much light was let into my photos. During my shoot, I was thinking about how I could best use this type of light in a unique way. These are my street photography shots. Some tips for shooting great street portraits are: don't be afraid to take someone's picture, always be ready, and don't let your subject know that you are taking their picture. For this unit, I did not use a tripod because I didn't want people to notice me. I took photos when there was enough light and it was too bulky to walk around with. I used sports and landscape settings for this unit. I was also mostly thinking about not being caught taking a random person's picture. These are my light painting experiments. Some tips for shooting great painting with light photos are: use a long shutter speed, think outside the box, and just go for it. Painting with light can be challenging and you really just have to experiment for yourself to see what you like the best. When you are experimenting with light, you have to use a tripod because there is usually little to no light. A small f-stop or big aperture is used along with a slow shutter speed. A high ISO is also needed. For this assignment, I really got outside of my comfort zone and tried a lot of new things. I wanted to have a wow factor that made people take a second look. This is my motion sequence. Some tips for shooting a motion sequence are: use a tripod, shoot in continuous mode, and don't move your camera. To create this illustration, I cropped out my subject of every photo but the middle one. I then layered over the background from the beginning to end. The opacity gradually goes light to solid. For my cardboard cutout, I chose the slogan, Capture the Moment. I chose this slogan because it included a photography term while also sounding meaningful. I had to measure out how many pieces of paper it would take to make a life-size cutout of myself, and then transfer my measurements to Photoshop. After I printed out all of my photos, I had to lay them out and cut myself out of them and glue the pieces onto a giant sheet of cardboard. For my photo album, I used pictures from my family Baja trip to Mexico this winter. When I made this book, I was aware of the color, size, and shape of my photos. These 2 pictures make up the front and back of my book. To show Miss Moore, I shared the link of my book with her. These are my panorama shots. Some tips for shooting great panoramas are: use a tripod, pan slowly, and make at least 3 photos deep. To shoot a panorama, a swivel head tripod is needed because you need your photos to be in a straight line. You also have to shoot in manual so that the camera will not use auto exposure to make your pictures have different lighting. To get a good panorama, you want to shoot at least 3 up and 9 across. My panorama was not as good as I had hoped, but these elements definitely helped me make it better. These are my product lighting shots. Some tips for shooting great product shots are: have a white or solid background, use professional lighting, and use a shutter speed of at least 1/4. I chose my swim gear to represent me because I was on the swim team and I was using this stuff almost every day. Using a tripod is important because 1/4 of a second is relatively slow. Solid backgrounds are important so that you don't take away from the subject of the photo. Creative angles are also important when shooting for product lighting. Angles can make a shot interesting and more dynamic. The creative angles really helped make my shots better. The tripod and the white background made my pictures even possible. These are my critter shots using a macro lens. Some tips for shooting a macro with a macro lens are: use manual focus, use a tripod, and get close. It was really fun being able to interact with the photographer that also brought the critters. He helped me get some really cool shots. He actually helped me get one of my best shots, the leaf with the frog shadow. This shoot was one of my favorites all year. It was something that I would normally never be able to do. It was really cool that I got the opportunity to do it. The critters were set up around the class and with really cool backgrounds. I used a fairly fast shutter speed so that the animals wouldn't be blurred. I used a medium to large aperture to make up for the fast shutter speed. I set up my art show in my local library. I chose this spot because I have been going to this library for as long as I can remember, and I thought it was a great opportunity to give back. It was hard to choose what pictures to use for this art show. After I had all of my chosen photos printed, I matted them on mats that I thought went best with my pictures. I learned how to arrange my photos based on color, subject, and size. I got some positive feedback from the library patrons. This is photographic surrealism. A surrealist is Salvador Dali, whose most famous painting is one of melting clocks. His art inspired me to take crazy, interesting pictures. Surrealism is art and literature that sought to release the creative potential of the unconscious mind. For example, by the irrational juxtaposition of images. It took me a while to brainstorm my pictures and set them up, but in the end it was a fun experience. This is my final pop art illustration. To get a good end product, use a white background so the colors can, well, pop. Try and use colors that go well together, and repeat the subject over and over. I have been in several art shows this year and won multiple awards. I have created a portfolio and a resume, and I have ran a portrait studio, and even been in Schools USA. This year I'm most proud of my street portrait of a wedding. I'm also proud of that I learned to shoot in different types of lighting. Thank you Moorbury High School for having a photography program that helped me become a fabulous photographer. Thanks for watching.